Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat malam. Um, I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. And tonight we have Dr. Wan Nur Arifin Wan Mansur um, as our speaker. So he's a senior lecturer in the Biostatistics and Research Methodology Unit, School of Medical Sciences, University Science Malaysia. So Dr. Wan Nur Arifin is a very experienced R user. So and he's also very what we call passionate about using advanced analysis and analytics in research. So we are very fortunate tonight that we have Dr. Wan Nur Arifin with us. I will not take too much time. I know that everybody is busy, but I know I would like to say thank you very much to Dr. Wan Nur Arifin for agreeing to speak tonight, and also to a few other people who I won't mention their name, who have helped us to arrange the session tonight. So if Dr. Wan Nur Arifin is ready, then the floor is yours, Dr. Wan Nur Arifin.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Just before we start, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, very, very clear.
Okay, nice. So now I will share my slide. And actually, if maybe the organizer can share the link to my slide as well in the chat. Okay, right. But otherwise, I will also show you the link to my slides in my slides. Okay, right. So let's get started. Okay, right. So I would expect that to share with you, okay, maybe around 15 minutes for this first part on the presentation, and maybe 15 minutes another 15 minutes, maybe we just go through some of the possible applications of this Rollama, okay, and for the rest, maybe we leave a Q&A, okay, right. So, just hold on. Okay, right. So I hope that you can see this slide clearly. Is it right?
Yes, we can see the slide, but your video is a bit sluggish, Dr. Arifin. You can off your camera if you
maybe I just turn on the
want.
video.
All right. Thank you.
That's what one. Okay, right. Okay, so I think should be okay now. Right. So let's get started with this a very short, maybe I won't say that this is a webinar, maybe more of like a sharing session with all of you. Okay, right. So I just want to share with you about Rollama package basically, and how to utilize this one as some of the option or tool in your research actually. So the title is utilizing local LLM via Rollama in R. Okay, so basically maybe some of you are already familiar with this abbreviation LLM. Okay, maybe some of you not familiar, but don't worry. Okay, right. So basically, LLM is just short for large language model, and many of us, I think, are already familiar with this LLM. At least you are very familiar with ChatGPT. Okay, right? So should be okay in that aspect. But today we want to actually explore a little bit more beyond ChatGPT, basically, right? And beyond what is offered by commercial companies, basically. Okay, right. So, what is a local large language model? Or in short, I will just use the term LLM for the rest of the presentation. Okay. Okay. So to define LLM, okay, now this is actually for very simple definition. It's just we can ask the LLM itself. So what is an LLM? Okay, so basically I asked this question briefly, what is a large language model? In three different LLMs, okay, basically I asked Quen 2.5 with 14 billion parameters, Gamma with 9 billion parameters, and Llama, okay, from Meta with 3 billion parameters. And let's see what are the answers. Okay, right. How they respond. Okay, from Alibaba, I asked briefly, right? So it's quite correctly give me a brief overview of what is LLM. Okay, right. It's basically a large language model. Okay. And it artificial intelligence system designed to process and generate human-like text based on the input it receives. So basically quite a nice answer here. Okay. Okay, and next, although I asked it to give me a brief definition, sort of like it can understand. Okay, right here. So, but quite a nice answer as well. It gives you what is meant by LLM. Okay, and what are the applications of that. Okay, right. But as you can see, we move from the largest model to the bit smaller model. Okay, right. Maybe you have some. Maybe you think it's not. It depends on your preference, right? And lastly, I used the smallest one, which is 3 billion parameter models, okay, from Meta or Facebook. Okay, right. So it explains in a way, maybe just a combination of what the from the Quen and also the Gamma just now, and also it just lists down some of the tasks what LLM can do. Okay, right. So why I actually introduced to you these three different models, okay, and with three different sizes, okay, because basically I want to talk basically what this webinar is all about, actually for you to explore different LLMs out there and different sizes of those models, okay, and so that you can experiment what would be the responses from this LLM instead of relying on some of LLM that you are familiar with, like ChatGPT, maybe Gemini, for example, right? Okay, right. So maybe just so that you can actually move out of your comfort zone so that you can experiment with the rest of the other available LLM. Okay. Okay, so why we call it a local LLM? Because these are the versions of this powerful large language model that can run directly on user's device or local network rather than in the cloud. So you know that ChatGPT is actually basically you have to go to the website or use the app to access the just to query or do some other question answers, for example, right? So you rely on the service basically, but with local LLM, you actually just download the model, then you actually can chat with this LLM from your PC, even without the internet connection, basically. Right. So maybe those who are used to ChatGPT, hardcore ChatGPT users, maybe you are very familiar with this one, okay, right? Maybe no need to explain. I think you know, every once a month you might have this kind of thing, right? This kind of issues. So another issue is that, okay, ChatGPT has this GPT-4o, right? Which you can only chat until to some extent, maybe you chat maybe around, maybe evolve around 10,000 word, 20,000 word, then you are out of limit on the free account. So this is another issue with using this kind of commercial LLM, okay, right? So apart from that, apart from those two issues, okay, I have several other personal reasons. Why I give personal reasons? You can nowadays you can just ask LLM, right, for the reason why people use local LLM, right? So I just give personal reason for that. Maybe for privacy, I want to be able to create exam question, novel idea, or just have some draft on novel ideas, top secret research, whatever, right? Just for privacy reason. And especially I am concerned with that. I want it now, no downtime at all, unless whenever I shut down the computer, basically. And also I want to experiment with the rest of the available large language models out there. Okay, there are actually thousands of large language model, but why we are stuck with only ChatGPT, basically, right? So actually, for you to experiment with some of other LLM. So basically, to be able to use this local LLM, okay, you will need a gaming spec PC laptop with NVIDIA GPU, basically. Maybe some of you might say what I actually very specific about the NVIDIA GPU, because this local LLM usually they only support NVIDIA GPU. They are not well supported by some other graphic cards, basically. That's why I basically mentioned NVIDIA GPU. Okay. And basically, maybe you need this kind of PC, basically, so you want to run the local LLM. Right. Okay. So, when we talk about local LLM in general, so regardless of whether you use R or whatever language, okay, right? Basically, you have this Ollama, okay, Misty, LM Studio, GPT-4, Ollama, CPP, and VLM, and the rest of the other options, basically. Okay, right? Many options out there, okay, to run local LM. Okay, but what I find a very nice combination is actually Ollama and Open Web UI. Okay, so Ollama is basically you just go to this ollama.com and just explore on your own what Ollama is all about. Okay, right? Just like you have R Studio, okay, you have to install R in the background, right? So sort of like Ollama, which is something that is being run in the background. So later I will show you the Rollama, which is actually something that runs on top of this Ollama. Okay, right? That kind of analogy, basically. Right. So if you use Ollama, okay, on its own, right, without adding any interface, this is how it looks like. Okay, right. So basically, you must run it in this terminal, basically, just like you run R, basically. Basically, it's just a terminal-based app. Okay, right? But you can actually have this kind of ChatGPT-like experience if you install this Open Web UI, okay, in combination with Ollama. So you actually, instead of just stuck with 4O and 4O mini, I actually have so many options. Okay, right? I have actually more than 10 actually from this drop-down menu actually. Okay, right. Actually, it's matter of choice. Okay, so you have access to so many other LLM out there. Okay, instead of being stuck with some commercial choices. So, how to utilize this powerful Ollama in R? Okay, right. So, in R itself, basically you are not limited to Rollama only. Okay, you have Ollamar. Okay, you have Mall. Okay, you also have GPT Studio. Okay, maybe some of you actually have experimented with ChatGPT API. Maybe you are used to GPT Studio, for example, right? But specific to Ollama, you have these two packages, okay, right? Rollama and also Ollama, okay. So let's get started with Ollama. Basically, you must install Ollama, okay, which you just go to the website. They have different instruction in to install Ollama in either Windows, Linux, or Mac, okay, right? Different instruction how to install that. But Rollama is straightforward. Once you get Ollama running in your PC, just install the Rollama package. Okay, just standard way you install any packages. Okay, and once you have this Rollama, you can find suitable models in the Ollama website. It says then just copy paste the name and you good to go. Okay, yeah, just install the specific models, specific models from the Rollama. Okay, so you just go to the Ollama website, just go to research, and actually maybe you have heard some of the available local LLM models. You just search maybe like for text generation, which means like chat interface. Okay, right. You are the popular ones are Llama, Quen, Gamma, Mistral, and also P. I think not Pi, P. Okay, right. So you have many options. Like Llama is version 3.3 already, Quen 2.5, Gamma is I think 2 or 3 something. Okay, right. You can explore. Okay, right there. You have so many choices of this local LLM actually. So with regard to image and text to text, okay, what some might call this one as Vision LM, Vision Language Model. Okay, common ones are like Llama Vision, recently released actually, Lava, okay, and also the Moon Dream models. Okay, basically it's just for example, you have the image, okay, so you want to describe that kind of image, so you use this kind of model. Okay, right. I show you after this how to just basic implementation, basic use of that. Okay. And lastly, okay, maybe we will go through examples to understand this one better. Embedding generation. Basically, this is the core of any large language model. You have text. You must turn those text into numbers. And once it's in numbers, then the language model can understand what you are talking about. So you actually, basically, computer cannot understand what you are talking about unless you turn it into numbers. So basically, embedding is actually you turn the spoken words, okay, written words into numbers that the computer can understand. That's the gist of that. Okay, so this one is, they have several options also, right? So recently we heard that Malaysian government actually gave this one few 100 million contracts to Mesolatica company. Okay, our local company actually developed the local Malaysian large language model. Okay, right. So actually, if you open up your mind out of your comfort zone, you are you also have the access to this kind of model, okay, right, from Mesoletica, our local company as well. So basically, you can search for those open source models from the Hugging Face, okay, and just look for the gguf file, okay. So you are good to go to use this model in Ollama, right? So you also can find some other Malaysian models and which are basically developed by Mesoletica as well. So as for the basic usage, okay, so this is how you can install models. So library Rollama as usual, and you can just pull the models that you like. So this one I just pull a very basic models for our, just to show you some of the examples, okay, like Llama 3.2, Moonbeam, and also Nomi and back text for to represent each of these different models. So if you list models, you can actually look at what are the available model in your local machine. So I have several, okay. And now let us go through this, how the basic use of the local LLM through Ollama. Okay, right. So now I'm using the Llama 3.2. So I want to query, okay, describe the history of our programming language. So I just query this way, very simple function, okay. So it gives you the answer, okay, right. Query. So query is basically you ask a question and the LLM will answer, but only once. It will not remember what you are talking about. For example, after this you ask, further describe the history of our programming language. So it will not understand what is further, it cannot understand the context. So basically query is just, once you ask it, it will forget. So we can also use the chat function, okay, in which maybe you just describe the history of our programming language again, but you can follow up with another question, okay, summarize it. So it refers to the history of R just now, okay, so it gives you the summary, okay, right. So that's the difference between the query and chat function in Rollama, right. So we have this poster, right, okay, prepared by our organizer, okay, right. So I use this poster for Moondream model, okay, right. So I just query, okay. This is how you put up the query for to describe the image. So you remember that just now I put up image plus text, right? So this is what is meant by image plus text. So you have the image, you give it the image, so you complement it with the text, okay, what your query, and then you use the specific model for that, right? So basically it describes that this image is poster for an event, webinar, blah, 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 right? Having 2 men at least, right? Not 3, not 4, right? So it's okay, at least, because this one is very small model. If you want to have a better performance, of course, you have a choice of some other models, okay, like just now we have the Llama Vision, just now is quite a good performing model, right? But basically it just give you the basic answers, which is quite okay, right? So you have to experiment for that. Now lastly, okay, you have the text to embeddings, okay, right? So this one I take from the Ollama website itself, okay, right? So you have these 6 text, right? 6 strings, text strings, okay. Basically, in Rollama it's quite easy, just embed text. So these are the text, okay, using the Nomi embed text. So you turn this text, okay, like I mentioned before, you must turn text into numbers so that you can understand, okay, right? So basically, okay, all these text are turned into all these numbers, okay, which doesn't make sense to us at all, but it makes sense to the computer. And for example, like this one, Llama and members of Camelid family blah 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 becomes all these long numbers. Okay, basically there are 768 numbers there. So the how many numbers are there, it depend on the what model you choose for embedding. Just now we used Nomi embed text, so it has 768 variables actually. Right. So before we go through just want to show you some example. Not this one is this webinar is not about the doing the practice session. Just want to introduce to you what this topic is all about. Okay. So just want to know more details about the models that we installed just now. Okay. So we list the model. So basically some of the important things that you want to know are actually the name of the model. Okay, basically, and the family of it. Okay. Which is the base model for this variance of the model. So for example, like Mesoretica model just now is based on Llama. Mundi is based on P version 2, and of course Llama is based on Llama itself, and Nomi embed is basically just Nomi. So you can also look at the parameter sizes, okay, and the quantization. I will explain after this what is quantization. And basically all models that we look in Ollama are actually GGUF models, GGUF files. So just a little bit about model size, why it is important and why it actually affect the performance of any LLM models, okay. Okay, is usually just 3B, 7B, 8B is actually billions of parameters, sort of like the weight in the deep neural networks, okay. The larger is better, like ChatGPT have several hundred billions parameters, okay, but it's actually heavy to run, okay. It requires massive GPU requirements, so that's why you noted that sometimes the HP is down, maybe some problem with the facilities, okay. But for LLM that you run in your own PC is actually smaller, maybe not as good, but sometimes it's very good, okay. It depends on the context of use, but lighter to run, which you can run based just using the consumer GPU. And generally, 4B model and below require GPU of 4 gigabyte of VRAM in because GPU actually, you will notice that they will put up how much VRAM it has, okay, right? So actually, this is basically the rules for running the models, okay, right? Quantization, just a little bit about this, is actually just the technique to reduce a model's memory footprint and computational requirement without any significant sacrificing the performance, okay, right? Basically, it just reduce the precision of the weight in LLM models. So, sort of like something like this. Okay, basically this one actually few more decimal places, but I just round it to 1. So something like that. You just reduce the precision of or how many decimal places that it has. So it has several options, but Q4 is very common, right? So you can learn more about quantization in the link that I gave, okay, right? And another thing is that maybe I just want to cover this one, how to pull the Malaysian LLM model. Basically, you just go to the Hugging Face, okay, website, okay, that I showed you before, and basically find the specific model. For here, I use the Malaysian Llama 3 8B, okay, right? So basically, you must understand what is meant by this lengthy name, okay? So my question is, how many parameters are there, okay? What is the quantization method that it uses, okay, right? So basically 8 billion, okay, something you can also find from the show model from the Rollama. Okay, quantization is not mentioned there, but you can see from the model name, which is Q4. There are several other options, the KM, M only K, whatever, right? So we use this model in example letter so that you can see what it is capable of doing. Okay, right? So we can go to this my website, okay, and just briefly go through the examples, because this one is actually, I don't think we can go through this one. I also prepare this one so that you can, on your own, you try to work out on this code on your own. Okay, right? So I give you the examples, okay, and some of the use cases. For example, here I put up how to allow it to interpret the statistical results, how you can ask it to interpret the plot, even write questions in questionnaire for you in English and also Malay, okay, using the Mesoletica model just now. You can also ask it to just do some R coding, okay, right? Here you use a ISLR model, but ISLR package, but usually you can just try to ask it many times. Sometimes it gives you the using the GLM that we are so used to. You can even copy and paste some references from any journals, ask it to convert to APA format. Quite easy. Also to summarize abstract directly from PubMed using the packages that we are used to, PubMed R and bibliometrics. And lastly, I also give you some overview of how to make sense of the numerical embeddings, okay, from how we can actually link the numbers to the text, okay, which are this part, okay. I believe you can go, I intentionally make it in a easy way that you can understand. You can just work on these codes on your own, okay, right? Because due to the time limitation from our webinar. Okay, also serve the purpose, of course, this one more suit for workshop, okay, right? So with that, okay, maybe it's suitable for us to actually call out for the Q&A session. Okay, so for Q&A, do you have any question? Yeah, so if you have any question, otherwise maybe I just can go through this numerical embedding a little bit. Is it okay? Yeah, because this one are actually something that you can work on your own, but yeah, if you have any question in the chat, or maybe you can turn on your mic, maybe. Right. So while waiting for the question, maybe just go through briefly on this numerical embedding. Okay, right. So just now we noted that we have 6 text strings. Okay, llamas, actually all about llamas, right? Because Ollama itself is actually mainly to run the llama model from Meta. Okay, right. So that's why they are so obsessed with llamas. Okay. So we turn this text into numbers. Okay, right. So let us go through what these numbers are about. Okay, basically, for each text, okay, lamas there, blah, blah, okay, you have these are turned into numbers in 768 variables. So you see dim1 until dim 768. Okay, if you go through the data set later. Yeah. But this 6 is actually represent our 6 text just now, right? Text strings. Okay, so for each of these row, actually, first text string, which is 0.511, so on, this actually belongs to llamas and members of camelid family. For example, this number 6, 0.542 actually belong to this llama lived about 20 years old, blah, blah, blah. Okay, right. So, if you have like 10 text strings, so you will have 10 rows there. Okay, right. So, let us look at this particular text. Okay, you can see that here there are actually just around two decimal places. Okay, you can see there are 768 numbers altogether, right? For this particular text, okay, another text, number 5, right? Okay, llama are vegetarians and very efficient digestive system. So also 768 variables or values. Okay. So how to link these numbers with any other text other than the one that we provided for the embedding? So we have two questions that we asked the LLM. Okay, so these are not the text that actually we provided in this dots, right? Okay, so these are actually other questions that we asked the LLM. So what animals are llamas related to? Okay, how long llamas can live? Okay, right. So basically, we are trying to get the answer. Basically, you are trying to link this question with relevant text. But of course, as human being, we know which one is the relevant text, right? But how to actually let the computer know how to find the right one? Okay, right? So basically, we turn this text into numbers again. Okay. And we actually, once we got the number, okay, right, so we actually put them together with the text that we have, with the 6 other numbers, vectors that we had just now, okay. So we run the cosine similarities, obtain the cosine similarity or correlation between these different text that we already turned into numbers, okay. So we try to find the similarity between these texts, right? So what animals are llamas related to? Okay, so it is highly similar to llamas are members of camelid, meaning and so on, right? Which is actually the text there, right? Number 1. Okay, right. So it's more of like the question and answers are actually linked by the similarity coefficient, basically. Okay, right. So this one also the same. We find the text that is most similar to our query. Okay, right. So we have a question. Can llama be used for multimodal task for combining text and image? Of course, we had the model in which you can provide the image and also text, right? So do you mean that one? Of course, that one is multimodal actually. Image together with text. Okay, right. So does it answer your question? Just now we had the multimodal one using the Llama Vision, Lava, and also the Moondream just now. Okay. So any other question? So another thing, another reason why you must use this kind of like Rollama and some other, which mean that you access the LLM through programming interface instead of just using the chat. The chat interface is actually because something like this, you can actually combine all these LLM together to perform specific tasks that you want. Actually, if you have some queries, for example, you have one question, you in Rollama, you can actually also ask several LLM at the same time. Okay, right? Not only limited because just now I put up here, right? Okay, for example, like R coding, only one model, right? Actually, you can actually put up many models as usual in R, like C bracket, just the name of the models, right? Just the names of the model. Second question, Llama, actually Llama is just one of the LLM model, and of course any LLM model is actually very much it can has these the hallucination issues actually, right? Just like any LLM model, regardless of whether it's very large model or not. Actually, that is the issue with any LLM. That's why still there is a role for human being lah. Otherwise, we will go extinct, right? It still will hallucinate, okay, right? Like Llama, of course, Llama is from Meta, right? Gemini, Google, Copilot, Microsoft, and of course, ChatGPT actually from Microsoft. The fund they fund the project, right? But of course, because they are based on the same concept, okay, they are actually subject to hallucination. First, the former Llama text with mixture language BM English, right? Actually, depend on which model, because that's why you must explore the available models, not only limited to Llama, not only limited to ChatGPT, not only limited to Mistral, not limited to Gemini or Gamma, basically, right? So you have to explore. Basically, there are maybe if you want to combine BM and English, maybe you can try Mesolatica model from them. And I noted that Quen and many other models developed by Asian companies are actually better than ChatGPT actually to some extent. Maybe you can try to explore that one. Right. So not only that, shouldn't rely too much on the Westerners, basically, right? So there are many other better companies than all those Western company. If you look several models, actually Ollama will handle that. Okay, right? So usually whenever you run this Ollama, you have several models, right? It will run one by one. So what, for example, like I run Quen 14 billion, for example, like, so let's say I have 16 gig of VRAM. Okay, we run that one first, and then once it's done with that one, it will start with another model. So it will clear up the RAM for you using Ollama. So that's why Ollama package is quite good to handle that one. Okay, it also can automatically detect the GPU in your PC. So actually being handled by the Ollama itself. So there's no need for you to actually do some micromanagement on the VRAM actually. But of course, make sure that the model is actually can fit in your VRAM, the largest one. Because for example, you run your VRAM is 16 gig, but your model is 20 billion, for example. So it will split the task between the GPU and also the CPU, so it will run slowly actually. But Ollama is quite good to handle that one, so don't worry too much about that. Okay. So any other question? But I think maybe later, maybe we can have maybe separate some other workshop. Maybe I have some updates on my understanding on this Ollama because I'm still exploring this Ollama. So many interesting things that you can do with the Ollama. Okay, right. Okay, so maybe with that, maybe we want to end this webinar. Okay, right. Okay, so maybe you can can have some other workshop after this one. Because just to actually to pick so that you can have some interest in doing this Ollama and Rollama lah. Basically, that's the purpose of the webinar.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Arifin, for sharing your valuable expertise with us today. And thank you all for joining us today. We have explored the exciting world of utilizing local LLMs within the R environment using the Rollama package. For those eager to delve deeper, I encourage you to explore the following resources, the slides and examples for this session, accessible in the chat box. And looking forward to seeing you at our future webinars. Stay tuned for the registration link. And yeah, that's it. Thank you again for your time and attention. I hope this webinar has provided you with valuable insights into utilizing local LLMs with Rollama in R. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Assalamualaikum.